Think walking into a biker bar is easy? One wrong patch, one wrong word, and you're flying through a window head first. But if you know the rules, you'll earn respect and make it out just fine. I've seen both outcomes. This video shows how to blend in, not get hurt. Number 7, acting like you belong when you don't. You want the fastest way to get stomped in a biker bar? Pretend you're one of them when you're not. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. Doesn't matter what you're riding. If you walk in acting like you belong to a club you've never earned, you're playing with fire. And around here, fire fights back. Real riders can smell a poser before you even sit down. It's in the way you walk, the way you talk, how you look around the room. They clock you instantly. And if you try to fake it, calling someone brother, throwing around club lingo, dropping names, you're not fooling anyone. You're tagging yourself with a big red sign that says, "Check me." And check you they will. See, in this world, respect isn't something you claim. It's something you earn. It doesn't come from the patch on your back or the sound of your exhaust. It comes from miles on the road, years in the scene, and time spent earning your place. You don't get to skip the line by acting cool. Biker culture runs on loyalty, history, and knowing your place. Try to shortcut that, and someone will remind you just how far down the ladder you really are. Maybe you think you're just being friendly. Maybe you're trying to blend in. But when you start acting like you've got history with people you've never met, it rubs hard. Imagine walking into a military reunion wearing fake medals and telling war stories you never lived. That's what it feels like. And the reaction? Not good. Some guys roll in like they're auditioning for a movie. They watched Sons of Anarchy one too many times, threw on some leather, and now they think they're patched. They slap on the fake attitude, throw around words they don't understand. They swagger, they smirk, and in the wrong bar, that's all it takes. Because no matter how tough you think you are, you're not tougher than a room full of real-deal riders who've been through it all. Guys who've watched friends go down, who've built their club from the ground up, who protect their brotherhood like family. You come in acting like part of that world when you've never even seen the real side of it. You're not just a joke, you're a problem, and problems get handled. Now here's the worst part. Most of the time, the test doesn't come right away. You might get a nod, a handshake, even a beer, but that's not welcome. It's a setup. They're watching you, listening, waiting for you to say the wrong thing. And when you do, you won't even see it coming. Suddenly, someone's in your face asking questions you can't answer. Who patched you? Where's your chapter? What's your road name? You stutter, you stall, and it's over. Doesn't matter if you meant well, doesn't matter if you're just playing around. This ain't a game. This is a world built on codes. You either follow them or you find out what happens when you don't. And don't think you can talk your way out of it either. These people don't care about your stories. They care about what's real. And if you faked it, you've already lost. The best case scenario, you get called out, humiliated, and told to leave. Worst case, you hit the floor and taste blood. So if you're thinking about rolling into a biker bar and pretending like you're patched in, don't. Shut up, sit down, listen. That's how you earn a shred of respect in this world. Not by acting, not by copying, but by being real, being humble, and knowing when to keep your mouth shut. You might think playing the part is enough, but wait until we talk about the patch that really sets people off. Number 6, wearing a 1%er patch without knowing what it means. That little diamond with 1% stitched inside, it's not some cool design, it's not edgy fashion, it's a statement, and wearing it without knowing what it means is one of the fastest ways to get your ass kicked. The 1%er patch goes back decades. After a wild biker event in Hollister, California, the American Motorcyclist Association tried to clean up the image. They said, 99% of bikers are law-abiding. So what did the outlaws do? They took that 1% and wore it with pride. That patch became a badge. It told the world, we live by our own rules. And real outlaw clubs still wear it today, for real reasons. So what happens when some random guy strolls into a bar with that diamond on his back? Trouble, because that patch means more than most people can handle. It stands for a code, a history, a life that doesn't play nice with the law or with posers. You can't just slap it on and expect a free pass. It's not something you buy, it's something you earn. And earning it usually comes with scars. Now imagine this. You're at a biker event rocking your new vest, and someone sees that little diamond. You think you're being cool. They think you're making a mockery of their world. Next thing you know, someone's in your face asking where you earned it. If your answer's weak, it might not stop at questions. It's like walking into a veterans bar wearing a Navy SEAL trident when you've never served. Best case, you're asked to leave. Worst case, you're dragged out, patch ripped off, maybe more. Because to those who earned that symbol, seeing it faked is an insult they don't take lightly. And don't think you're safe just because you bought it at a rally booth or some online store. Those shops will sell anything. Doesn't mean you should wear it. Because in a real biker bar, you're not protected by a receipt. You're judged by what's on your back and whether or not you have the history to wear it. Real one-percenter clubs take their symbols seriously. They've bled for them. They've buried friends under them. So when they see someone wearing that patch without the stripes, stories, and time to back it up, they react fast and not with a polite conversation. So do yourself a favor. If you don't know what a patch means, don't wear it. If you didn't earn it, don't fake it. There are plenty of ways to show your love for bikes and the open road without pretending to be something you're not. That tiny patch can get you jumped. But guess what's even more dangerous? Wearing real-looking club patches when you don't even belong. Number 5. Patching up like a club when you're not one. Let's get one thing straight. How you patch up matters. A lot. And if you're not in a motorcycle club, but you're wearing something that looks like you are, you're asking for trouble. You ever see a vest with a big patch in the middle, a name on top, and a location on the bottom? That's called a 3-piece patch setup. And in biker culture, that means club. Not maybe, not sometimes, always. That layout belongs to motorcycle clubs, period. So if you throw on some leather with that same setup, whether you made it yourself or bought it at a rally, you're stepping into club territory without a club behind you. It doesn't even matter what the patch says. Could be a skull, a wolf, a dragon doing wheelies, whatever. If it's got a top rocker, a bottom rocker, and a big emblem in the middle, people will assume you're repping a club. And if that bottom rocker has a city, a state, or a region on it, now you're claiming territory. That's a whole other level of stupidity. See, territory isn't just a decoration in the biker world. It's earned, it's defended, and if you claim a place you don't own, someone who does might come say hello, and not with a handshake. Even Harley gear can trip you up. You know those Harley-Davidson vests with a top rocker that says Harley and a bottom rocker that says USA? Looks cool, right? To a club member, it looks like you're playing dress up with their format. Doesn't matter if it's from the dealership. They don't care where you bought it. They care what it looks like. You might be thinking, okay, but I'm not trying to start anything. I just like the look. Doesn't matter. Intent doesn't save you when the wrong guy takes offense. Biker bars and rallies are full of people who've worn their patch for decades. They can spot a poser in a heartbeat. And when you mimic something they worked years to earn, you're not just making a fashion mistake. You're showing ignorance and maybe even disrespect. So what do you do if you still want to represent? Keep it simple. Wear rally patches, charity ride patches, patches from events you actually went to. Keep them small. Keep them on the front or side of your vest. These tell your story, not someone else's. And that's what your vest should do anyway. Avoid anything that looks like a club format unless you're actually in one. No rockers, no territory claims, no fake names like Outlaw Cruisers or Lone Wolf Brotherhood. Just ride your ride, wear what matters to you, and leave the club style to the clubs. Because in the biker world, it's not about looking tough. It's about knowing your place. Patches aren't decorations, they're declarations. And the wrong one on the wrong back can get you dragged outside before your beer even hits the bar. So you're not in a club, but you still want to stand out? Just wait until we talk about the guy who showed up in TV cosplay and nearly left in an ambulance. But before we dive further, if you're learning something new today, hit that subscribe button, stick around. We're just getting started. Number 4, wearing a Sons of Anarchy vest. You ever walk into a lion's den wearing a steak suit? That's what it's like when you roll into a real biker bar wearing a Sons of Anarchy vest. Sounds cool in theory, looks badass on TV, but in the real world, it's a one-way ticket to getting dragged outside and taught a lesson you won't forget. Here's the deal. Sons of Anarchy is a show. A good one, sure. Drama, bikes, brotherhood, all that. But it's still make-believe. The characters are actors, the club is fake, and the storylines, pure Hollywood. But when someone walks into a bar wearing that vest like it means something, it's not seen as just a fan. It's seen as a poser. And in biker culture, being a poser is worse than being invisible. You're walking in wearing fake patches that look a lot like real club colors. You've got the rockers, the center patch, the attitude, but none of the miles, none of the history, and none of the blood. That's a problem. Because to real club members, patches aren't fashion. They're earned. They stand for something. Brotherhood, loyalty, years of riding, and often risk. So when a dude strolls in wearing a costume that copies their way of life, it hits a nerve. And sometimes that nerve hits back. There are stories all over the country. Some poor guy in an SOA vest gets called out in Sturgis and ends up face down in the parking lot. Another one in Daytona gets told to strip it off or get it ripped off. And then there are the stories of vests getting set on fire, banned from rallies, or worse. Think of it this way. You wouldn't show up to a military reunion wearing fake Navy SEAL gear just because you've watched SEAL Team. You wouldn't walk into a cop bar with a toy badge and start calling yourself officer. So why the hell would you dress like a fake outlaw biker in a place full of real ones? Here's what most people don't get. Real bikers know the difference. They can spot the stitching, the colors, the setup. They know the culture. They live it. So when they see some fresh-faced wannabe in a brand new SOA cut acting like he's part of the crew, they don't laugh. They get pissed. Because you're not just wearing a vest, you're disrespecting the road they've bled on. And let's be real, half the time the guy wearing that vest hasn't even ridden more than 50 miles in one go. He just thinks it looks cool. Maybe he saw Jax Teller and figured he could get the same attention. But this isn't TV, this is the real world, and in the real world, cosplaying the culture will get you slapped back into reality. Hard. So if you've got a Sons of Anarchy vest hanging in your closet, do yourself a favor. Leave it there. Or better yet, donate it to a costume shop. Because in a real biker bar, that thing doesn't make you look cool. It makes you look clueless. Think they're just patches? Think again. Because the words you say might actually get you into even hotter water. Number 3. Running your mouth without backup. You want a fast way to get your ass kicked at a biker bar? Open your mouth before you've earned the right to speak. Nothing gets you tested quicker than acting like the loudest guy in the room, especially if no one knows who you are. Biker bars don't run on small talk. They run on silence, presence, and mutual understanding. The guy sitting in the corner, quiet, sipping his drink, he might have buried more rubber than you've seen in your whole life. He doesn't need to say a word. His patches, his cut, and the way he carries himself do the talking. But you walk in loud, cracking jokes, shouting about bikes, or bragging about stuff no one asked you about. That's a red flag. It tells everyone around you one of two things. Either you're new and don't know any better, or worse, you're disrespectful on purpose. And both of those are a problem. Real riders don't puff their chests. They've got nothing to prove. Their miles, their scars, their stories, they're earned, not shouted. The louder you get, the more you look like you're trying to convince people you belong. And the louder you get, the more attention you draw. Not the good kind. The kind that ends with someone standing up and asking you to repeat that funny story out back. And don't think talking about other riders, clubs, or bikes makes you sound tough. You start throwing shade on somebody's ride or making wisecracks about club patches, and you'll find out real quick that people were listening, even if they looked like they weren't. Because that's another thing. Bikers hear everything, even when they don't react right away, especially when they don't. You think it's harmless to say something like, "That dude's bike looks like a scooter," or "I heard those guys don't even ride that far." But those words can turn into fights fast. Because when you mouth off, you're not just talking about a bike. You're talking about the person who built it, lives on it, and rides with pride. You're talking about someone's lifestyle, and that hits harder than you think. Maybe you're just trying to make friends. Maybe you're nervous. Doesn't matter. In a biker bar, you don't get points for being loud. You earn your place by shutting up, observing, and knowing when to speak. And when you do speak, you better mean what you say. No bluffing, no flexing, no jokes that cross the line. There's a damn good reason new guys are told to shut up and keep their heads down. It's not about fear. It's about not getting wrecked before you know the rules. Run your mouth without knowing the game, and you're asking for it. This ain't poker. You won't just lose chips, you'll lose teeth. So zip it, watch, listen. Let your actions speak louder than your words. And if talking too much is bad, wait until you try talking big with stories that don't add up. Number 2, telling tall tales. If there's one thing bikers can smell from a mile away, it's bullshit. And nothing stinks worse than some loudmouth spinning tall tales about rides they never took, fights they never fought, and clubs they were never part of. You might think telling a wild story makes you look cool, but to the people who actually lived this life, who've ridden through the rain, busted knuckles on the side of the road, and buried brothers, it just makes you look fake. You want to brag about that time you rolled deep with a crew out of Arizona? Better hope no one in the room knows that crew. Because if your story doesn't match reality, it's game over. You're not just a liar, you're a poser. And there's no worse label in a biker bar. Here's the thing. Real bikers have heard it all. They know how many miles it takes to cross the country. They know what kind of trouble pops up on the road. They know the names, the faces, and the stories. So when some new guy strolls in, throwing around patch names and war stories like he's the second coming of Yvel Knievel, people start listening. But not because they're impressed. They're checking your facts. And once they catch you slipping, once the numbers don't line up or the names don't make sense, that bar stool starts to feel a whole lot smaller. Someone might lean in real close and ask, "What year was that again?" And if you choke, if you fumble the details or change your story halfway through, you're done. Worse, some guys double down. They start adding more lies, thinking they can talk their way out. But every new sentence just digs the hole deeper. Before long, you're the joke of the night, and if you're lucky, all you get is laughed at. Sometimes, though, the room doesn't laugh. Sometimes, someone takes that lie personal. Maybe you dropped the name of a club you don't know. Maybe you claimed a ride you weren't on. Maybe you made up a fight that got someone real hurt. And now you're not just telling a bad story, you're disrespecting the truth. Here's what wannabes never understand. Nobody in that bar gives a damn about your made-up biker fairy tales. You're not auditioning for a movie. You're standing in front of people who've bled, burned, and buried their brothers on the road, and they can smell fake the second you open your mouth. You think they expect you to be some outlaw legend? They don't. What they do expect is that you show up real, that your story actually happened. Even if it's short, ugly, and covered in duct tape. Honesty gets respect. Lies get your jaw tested. You limped in on an 80-mile run with a busted Sportster and a cracked clutch cable? That's grit. That's real. You helped a guy fix a flat in a thunderstorm with a pocket knife and a prayer? Say that. That matters way more than some bullshit story about rolling with the big dogs when your only crew is a forum on Facebook. So don't fake it. Don't inflate your story. And don't try to be someone you're not. Because in this world, when your story doesn't add up, neither will your teeth. You've made it this far and still have teeth? Good. But the dumbest move of all is also the most common. Number 1. Lone wolf patch plus territory rocker. Being a lone wolf rider? That's fine. In fact, it's respected. You ride solo. You don't answer to anyone. You make your own rules and follow your own road. No club, no politics, no drama. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you start trying to look like you're in a club. That's where it all goes sideways. You've seen the patch. Big, angry wolf. Maybe a skull. Maybe some flames. On top, it says Lone Wolf. On bottom, a city or state name. And right there, you just went from independent to insult. See, clubs take patches seriously. That bottom rocker, the one with the city or state, that's not just decoration, it means something. It says, we own this ground. And it's not earned through eBay or Etsy. It's earned on the road, in the cold, in fights, in funerals. Real MCs bleed for that rocker. So when a solo rider shows up wearing a patch that looks like a three-piece cut, especially with territory stitched across the bottom, it gets read as a challenge. Doesn't matter if you meant it or not. Doesn't matter if you bought it at a swap meet or thought it just looked cool. You're now in someone else's lane, and they're gonna let you know real fast. There's a story that gets passed around biker bars. A guy rolls into a Florida roadhouse. Big patch on his back. Lone wolf, snarling face. Florida across the bottom. The patch looked brand new. Clean leather. Not a scratch on it. But it didn't take long before the locals noticed. Support club guys saw the setup, clocked the state rocker, and within minutes they were circling. One of the older guys stepped in before things exploded, told the kid to lose the vest or lose his teeth. He got lucky, most don't. You don't have to be in a club to be respected. You don't need a patch to prove anything, but you do need to know the rules. If you're truly riding solo, act like it. Wear your rally patches. Rock a vest from a charity ride. Keep your patch layout simple, front or side, not full back cut style. And most importantly, don't claim turf you haven't earned. It's not about looking tough. It's about not looking like a poser. Because once your vest starts copying the layout of a real MC, top rocker, center, bottom, you're inviting a conversation you probably can't finish. Clubs don't care if you're independent. They care if you're stepping into their house wearing a crown you didn't earn. Ride by yourself? Cool. Nothing wrong with that. But don't wear stuff that says you're in a club when you're not. The road don't lie. And it always checks if you're for real. Every mistake we just covered? Totally avoidable. Real bikers don't hate new faces. They hate disrespect. So don't fake it, don't front, and don't play dress up with someone else's world. Respect the patch, respect the bar, and you'll walk out the same way you walked in, on your feet with all your teeth. If you learned something today, show some respect. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the dumbest biker bar story you've ever seen. Let's hear it.